Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for joining a very special Thomas Kinkade Studios event. My name is Hillary Davidson. I'm the marketing manager at Art of Entertainment. Art of Entertainment is a brand new store and website that features Thomas Kinkade Studios entertainment artwork like The Mandalorian, as well as other artists. Today, we're going to be interviewing Monty Moore and revealing his new painting, Turning Point. Monty Moore is the mastermind behind the Mandalorian Collection, which is part of a new collaboration with Thomas Kinkade Studios. Hello and welcome, Monty.
Hi, Hillary. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here today. As you can see, I'm here in my studio in snowy Colorado, and I'm happy to be invited to do this and meet the new fans, both old and new to Star Wars and Kinkade and my own, and share the art with the fans, answer some questions.
Awesome. Well, we're really happy to have you here. And we're really happy to just have this ability through technology to interview artists like yourself through these online platforms. And for everyone watching, we will have some time at the end of the interview to answer any questions. So feel free to go ahead and start asking questions in the chat bar, and we'll get to those after I interview Monty. We have also pinned some links in the chat thread, and that's because we actually have two ways where you can see this new collection of Mandalorian art. The first is going to be a landing page to Thomas Kinkade Studios. This will have information about Monty Moore as well as the different product options. The second is a link to artofentertainment.com. Again, that's a brand new website. It has all entertainment themed art with Thomas Kinkade Studios, Monty Moore, and some other artists that you may or may not have heard of yet. So that's really fun and new and exciting. It just launched last week. But right now, we're going to go ahead and just immediately reveal this artwork. So let's go ahead and see a full screen image of the Turning Point.
And there it is.
Awesome. Okay. So in this painting, there are three characters: the Mandalorian, Mando, the Child, and the assassin droid IG-11. This is a pivotal moment in chapter 1 of the series, hence the name Turning Point. Monty, would you like to go ahead and share a little bit more about this painting?
Sure. In this composition, the archway frames are focal subjects with a high contrast color usage, and the piece relies on light and color to convey an emotional impact, meaning this piece isn't so much about high details. It's more about the impact of the piece visually to bring this very pivotal moment in both of these characters' lives to the viewer.
Mm-hmm. Great. I love it. I think it has such a great use of color and depth. It's really interesting just to admire. I was actually looking at it in detail last night just in prep for this call, and I'm just kind of blown away by what is shown in this painting. So congrats again on being able to present this to all the fans. I think it's a great piece of work. But I am a little curious, just how did this series come about?
I've always been a huge Star Wars fan my whole life, ever since my first R2D2 toy back when the first movie came out. And I really enjoyed the new ongoing show. It takes place in the same universe, but it's different characters and stories. So to me, it's very refreshing. Uh, the concept for this art series was conceived between Thomas Kinkade Studios, myself, Lucasfilm, and the Star Wars partnership, and suggested the idea that we do a painting from each episode, each really chapter in their adventure, to bring that to life in a more Kinkadian style, meaning not illustrative, not just high detail or like you might see more of a Star Wars movie poster. This isn't a floating heads kind of composition. And so we really wanted to be the first to bring a fine art licensed series for The Mandalorian to the public and the fans. And you mentioned the painting there, the print that you have there in your office. I have one here behind me too, right over my shoulder. And I have to tell you, when it arrived, because we wanted to have it for this event, that Laura came in and saw it and said, "Oh my gosh, they framed your painting for you. Why did they send it back?" And I said, This isn't my painting. This is actually a reproduction."
Yeah.
And with the master highlights, the embellishment that was added to it, which has never been done to a piece of my artwork before, I can honestly say this is the finest art reproduction I've ever seen. And in some ways, I almost feel it's superior to the original because
Oh, wow.
when well, the reason why I say that is when you a lot of time in an original, you might have areas of high gloss and lower gloss.
Mhm.
It may have a varnish, it may not have a varnish, but when you see it so accurately reproduced down to every stroke, and it's unified in this beautiful, gloss canvas and then framed, it's kind of nicer that I think than what I sent you guys because it wasn't framed or anything like that. And so
Right.
when you get this back, you go, "Oh my gosh, this is really amazing." So I have to say, kudos to you and your whole production team
Oh,
because
awesome. Yeah, no, we really love doing these really top quality reproductions. The one that you have and that I have in this office as well. So these are called limited edition prints. So they're part of a really small run. So there's only a limited quantity available on Earth. They have been highlighted from a master highlighter, adding more paint onto them, and they have really nice framing options. So it's a great way to really present the artwork and have it look near identical to the original painting, as Monty was saying. It's the closest thing. So that's great. Thank you for sharing. And I'm really happy that you have such a wonderful replication that you can also have in your office.
well, I one last little kudo to be able to have my signature in the painting for a
Yes.
Star Wars piece is a matter of honor in Star Wars lore.
Yeah.
To do this, even though I have done some other licensed Star Wars art, I don't know. It's just very important to me. So
Yeah.
thank you for inviting me to be a part of that.
Absolutely. And that is, something special about this collaboration is that Monty Moore has graciously added his signature onto the painting. And that's something new, uncharted territory that we've never done before. So thanks again for making this happen. It's really cool. So
Absolutely.
you were mentioning that you're, a Star Wars fan, but what was it specifically about The Mandalorian that made you want to make a series of artwork reflective of the, entire storyline?
Well, it's a unique opportunity because I really enjoyed watching these characters in episodic form rather than just a feature film.
Uh-huh.
So to me, the whole series has a very interesting storyline, and I thought the creators did an amazing job introducing new subject matter into an already existing universe that most of us know and are familiar with.
Mhm.
But this series seems to have a freshness because of the new characters and scenarios, in contrast to being a feature film that is we've already been following those characters. So
Right.
now we're going into uncharted territory with new characters and storyline. And I love the feeling that this series combines the feel of a classic gunslinger western
Mhm.
in the Star Wars universe, but it also combines themes like honor and loyalty that you might see in a samurai or a Ronin film, which Star Wars has also had those themes. So from the opening scene of The Mandalorian, where you see him walking into this, bar hideout of scum and villainy,
Right.
it just we knew what the flavor was going to be, and it was just this very man with no name. You didn't know what he looked like. You didn't know his story. And I think we were just all immediately captured.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot that goes on even in that first episode where things are flipping and changing and evolving constantly. So there's just a really cool plot and storyline involved. So then in the art itself, there's these great dynamics between the characters. There's certainly a different, color palette in The Mandalorian. What did you want to capture or convey the most in Turning Point?
Um, the colors and the styles are certainly influential,
Mhm.
but I really wanted to convey the emotion and the conviction that Mando has. We see him defy orders and save the child. And this shows us a character with moral values, which in the beginning that we think he's going to be this unemotional gunslinger, and it's unexpected when we find him to not be a ruthless bounty hunter
Mhm.
and who's only driven by monetary gain, and instead we find somebody of deep convictions and a code of ethics that continues to evolve through the story.
Yes, totally. And that moment too that you're showing right here, that is the turning point when those ethics kind of change. Is that why you named it Turning Point?
Yeah, that was certainly the title that just sprung to mind when we were all developing concepts together.
Mhm.
And even though I put different concepts on the board, this was the one that everybody said, this is it. This encapsulates what we hope is going to be a journey. Now,
Yeah.
when you see episode one, we don't know that sort of the child and Mando's relationship is going to become the focal point of the entire story, or
Mhm.
if he's literally going to hand him over and say, next mission.
Yeah, true. True. It's good
Yeah.
mystery. And then we see it later and develop. And there's a lot of interesting dynamics, both between him and the child, as well as, the other Mandalorians, and as well as, that droid that kind of changes throughout the story. So it's a lot there to work with, and it's really cool.
Hmm. Yeah.
So last night I was actually watching some behind the scenes clips of The Mandalorian, and I was thinking to myself, like, oh, this can be applied to anything, can be applied to painting, anything that you're doing and creating. And I really wanted to hear a little bit more about your behind the scenes and how you created the actual painting. I think a lot of people might forget what is involved, especially with painting oils, because at the
Hmm.
end you're there with turpentine and everything is much more involved and just a different animal altogether. So would you mind mentioning a little bit about your technique used when painting with oils?
Absolutely. I use a glazing technique, which means it's a thin layer of translucent paint over more opaque layers.
Mhm.
And I work a section at a time. So on this series, I find myself mostly working on the background first and then working towards the focal point, where you're going to spend most of your time at the end.
Mhm.
And in some respects, it's kind of like eating your vegetables first and saving your steak for last. Uh, because you really want to savor the flavor, I
Yeah.
say. And I know that there are several other fine artists and illustrators I know that do the same techniques
Yeah.
when working background and foreground.
Uh-huh.
And I there's only one kind of oil paint in the world that I can use because I developed an allergy to traditional oil paints, and I'm not the
Oh.
only one in the world that has that, and I break out really badly in hives.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so I found a brand of oil paint that is basically organic. It's like painting all natural, and there's no additives,
Wow.
and I don't have to worry about those kinds of things. And for that reason, I don't do a lot of commercial art in oils
Mhm.
until I discovered this a few years ago.
Wow. Well, that's great. Very interesting. I'm glad that you have found the right thing so that you can, create the best artwork that you can. I do have a question, about your technique here. So you said that you start with the background elements first. Does that mean you do the entire background and then you do Mandalorian, or are you leaving like a little cutout area where you're kind of waiting to paint him last?
I'm leaving a cutout area to
Oh,
paint him
cool.
last. So I still, once the drawing is approved, I'll then redraw it onto the canvas so that I know where all the compositional elements are. Um, but you want to be aware of all that, and I don't want to get something in the wrong space. So I
Right.
do
Okay.
I do paint around those elements, and then you just bring those to the forefront and sort of pull it out of the background.
Okay.
um, and the reason for me to use the oils was because I think it makes the colors more luminous,
Mhm.
and I wanted to use the same medium as other paintings by Thomas Kinkade Studios. So I think conveys the look of fine art, and it shows more depth of color. The outcome to me is more developed and kind of full of substance,
Mhm.
and it's just seemed like the right choice for me, even though most of my commercial artwork and book covers and such are often mixed media, acrylics, airbrush, colored pencils,
Mhm.
markers, and it's much faster. These paintings, in contrast to my typical work, take me weeks at a time instead of days at a time.
Wow, yeah. And then even, the oils, they need time to dry, which depending on who you ask can be a couple weeks or a couple years. So
Yeah, I do use dryers to speed up the drying
oh,
process, but
interesting.
there will be oftentimes where I will let it sit several days
Uh-huh.
before coming back because I prefer, as more of an illustrator, to work into dry paint rather than wet because wet sometimes just gets goopy.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the painting, I see a great composition here, and we have the characters and we have light source. What would you say is the actual focal point of this painting?
Well, the focus is definitely directed towards the fingertips, that small space between Mando and the child. It's very similar to the creation of Adam in the Sistine
Mhm.
Chapel and shows this moment shows the emotional shift of the Mandalorian's character, as well as a touching moment between strangers.
That's great. I mean, I have just been so pleased to speak with you about this painting, and I'm really curious to know what other paintings we have in store because this is a part of, a Mandalorian collection. So we have more paintings coming out soon, correct?
Sorry, my camera dropped off for a
Oh,
second
no
there. I had to
problem.
reconnect. Um,
Hashtag, it's a
so
lot
yeah,
of fun.
yeah. So anyway, I was just saying that to me that this was the moment between these characters and his stepping away from his old life as a bounty hunter guild member to this protector role that he kind of evolves into. And we don't know that it's the beginning of this great adventure, but if you're a Star Wars fan, I think we all pretty much just melted when we saw the child inside
Mhm.
this pram, which
Yes.
is the floating bassinet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. So I was just asking, right when when your video cut out there a second ago, I've loved, speaking with you about this painting, and I know there's some more paintings in the series coming up. So we have those to look forward to, and we have a couple that I can just mention their names, and they're going to be released on the following Mando Mondays. So those are going to be Mudhorn and Escort. How do you want to describe just what we have to look forward to in the future for this collection?
Oh, that's a tricky one, to not we can't let the cat out of the bag, but
Right.
I think the Mudhorn is self-explanatory in that
Uh-huh.
there is going to be the Mudhorn in the scene, this amazing dirty battle,
Yeah.
but there's a pivotal moment that happens in there. There was another thing that all of us just kind of went, "Ah!"
Yeah.
that in that episode, and
Mhm.
so I think you're going to see some of the elements from that.
Great.
And with the escort, it's a little bit of a change with some of the other pieces. It's not as
Mhm.
much of a character focused piece, but more of an ensemble. And we get to see a little bit more of the world and part of what happens in episode 3.
Great.
So episode 4 is being worked on
Yes.
now, and that's all I can say. So stay
Yeah,
tuned to Thomas Kinkade Studios and Mando Mondays.
sounds good. But so there will be one painting for every chapter of season one. I just want to reiterate that so that you will see more of these start to pop up and they will be released. So pay attention. This is the beginning of something very good coming up. Um,
This is the way.
Yeah, this is the way. Okay, awesome. Well, I think at this time it will be a good moment to switch over actually to some live audience questions. I know there are some people that have been submitting questions. I haven't actually been looking at those because I've been talking to you, but let's go ahead and maybe throw one up on the screen and then we can get this going. And thanks again just for being here and taking your time out today. I know this is a lunch hour for many, and it's really awesome that we can share something special like this collection with you and having an artist to speak with. A lot of people, some artists just don't want to do that. And it's really cool to have you in person or virtually in person
Well, some
and be able
hermits, some artists are more like hermits, but I'm used to going to conventions like Comic Con and art shows, and
to.
so
Right.
this is a way that during COVID we can all stay connected.
Yeah.
And I've been producing a lot of art because
Yeah.
I'm home the whole time.
Yeah. That's great. And so you've been to many Comic Cons, correct?
The big one in San Diego, I've been to 28 years in a row,
Mhm.
and I was a guest of honor in 2001.
Mhm.
And I've also been a guest in many pop culture conventions all over the world, Scotland, Italy, Germany, Mexico, probably close to 300 to 400 conventions over the
Wow,
last
that's a lot.
almost 30 years.
That's great. I'm sure that's a wonderful way to spread your artwork and get connected with like-minded fans. So awesome. We do have a question that came up. So Kristen is asking, are you a fan of the show? And does that affect your painting method?
I think a love for the subject matter really helps. And
Mhm.
I'm a huge fan of the show. I was the one that myself and Thomas Kinkade Studios, we were already in discussions about working together. And there wasn't a specific project that
Mhm.
we had in mind. And I knew that you all had an existing Star Wars license. And
Right.
so after I watched the first couple episodes, I came and was like, oh my gosh, can we do the Mandalorian? Because
Uh-huh.
wow.
Right.
And you all reached out to Lucasfilm and said, "Hey, we'd love to do this," and they said, "Absolutely." Gave us their blessing to proceed. So um, I love the show. You can see my life size Han Solo in carbonite. That
Uh-huh.
is an actual casting from The Empire Strikes Back, from the very first cast. I also have one of my motorcycles I custom painted with a Star Wars
Wow.
theme, and it looks kind of like the exterior of Boba Fett's ship. And
Uh-huh.
then on one side as a symbol for the Rebel Alliance, and the other side symbol for the Empire. And then in 2010, I wrote and produced a Star Wars fan film that year was one of the top 25 finalists
That
out
is
of
amazing.
300 films. I made the Moss Eisley Cantina in my basement. So
Wow.
fortunately, I had an unfinished basement, but it's
Okay,
pretty
that
cool.
helps.
So if you search for on YouTube for
Yeah.
TK421, why aren't you at your post, which is a
Okay.
line from the film, you can see the 5-minute short film that I made in my basement.
Awesome. Little did you know that that was going to develop into something.
And I have a cameo in it
Oh, great.
too.
Awesome. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Who's your favorite Manzo character to paint?
Hmm. Well, it seems to be low hanging fruit to say the child or Mando. And in these first episodes, opportunities, I think Cara Dune is a fantastic character.
Oh, yeah.
She portrays a strong female fighter that does not need a man to come to her rescue.
Mhm.
I love the character of Queel. I was very sad when he died in episode one, or not episode, but season one. That's not a spoiler. It's been out for a year.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
like, you better
Spoil
bring him
something. It's
back.
already been spoiled. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
they've just done a great job. And if any of the fans have watched the gallery, which is the behind the scenes, the making of the Mandalorian, fantastic insight into the characters and the development. I really enjoy watching those.
Awesome. Okay, so Jesse is asking, what's your best advice for upcoming artists?
Just to be absolutely dedicated. You
Mhm.
don't have to be talented at all. I don't personally believe in talent has anything to do with success.
Mhm.
Mark Twain once said, "There's nothing so common as a man with wasted talent." But
Right.
there's a difference between talent and skills. And I believe that skills are earned and learned. And I
Mhm.
went to college, I got a 4-year art degree. I continue to study with other artists, and I take art workshops every year. Not that I host, that I actually attend as an
Right.
artist. And I study with wildlife artists and landscape painters and portraitists,
Mhm.
so that I can bring all of those things that I learn into
Yeah.
my own technique. So the one thing that I advice that I have is support anybody who wants to be an artist. Doesn't matter if it's a boy or a girl or young or old. Art is for everybody. Somebody says
Yes.
I'm 80 and I want to learn to draw, do it. If they're
That
8 and they want to learn to draw, do it.
sounds great. It sounds like you're a lifelong learner and you keep challenging yourself and learning new things and you're applying that to your talent, which makes you therefore more talented. So thank you for that. I think that's important for everyone, really across anything besides painting, but really applicable to being an artist.
Yeah, I
So
decided to become an artist when I was 16, and my parents were very supportive. So I'm thankful for that.
that is great. That does have very long term effects. So I'm happy to hear that. So Tiffany has a question. She says, do you have a favorite episode or chapter?
Ooh, that's a good one. Uh, I really like episode 2 with the Mudhorn.
Okay.
It was very action sort of packed. You not only have this very funny interaction with the
Mhm.
Jawas and him trying to
Oh, yeah,
scale
yeah.
the sand crawlers, it's taking off, and his ship gets stripped, and he can't get off the planet. And he's like, I'm stuck here, and so it just that episode has a great balance of comedy, action, and sort of this growing relationship with the child and Mando. We get a little teeny taste of maybe what he's capable of when he's
Mhm.
kind of doing this. And then you really see it at the end. And we're like,
Yes.
again, our heads all explode. And we're like, ooh,
Yeah.
teeny.
Yeah,
There's a
exactly.
little Jawa sound for you.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear. I love how, in a series like this, everyone has their favorite moments and for different reasons. And I'm sure that you've been able to put that into your art as well. I think it's really special to see that. So that's great. So what we're going to do, we're just going to see if there are any other questions that come in. And in the meantime, I'm going to ask you one personal question that I have. So I see that you're in the studio and you have different artwork that you've put on your wall. How does it feel when you're in your artist environment and you're able to really like get in your zone or start to flow and paint?
I did, many years ago when I was younger, I didn't have very much of my own art around
Hmm.
me. It was almost everybody else's art, people that I admired.
Right.
Now, sometimes I do have customers or clients who come to the studio here in Colorado if they're picking up something. So on the one hand, I've kind of turned more of the space into a little bit of a gallery, and the other thing is I sell a lot of my art, so I don't get to see it anymore.
Oh
So
yeah.
part of me, if I
Yeah.
have like there's a couple of pieces there that are from Dances with Wolves that are
Hmm.
painted on native crafted elk hide drums.
Right.
And until those pieces sell, or this one here above me is Jeremiah Johnson, some Western pieces. Until those find a new home, I get to enjoy them,
Yeah.
because and then I take something else, out of storage and put it on the walls because I do have a lot of art. I'm known as a high production artist. I don't produce 20 things a year. I produce 40 or 50.
That's a lot. That's a lot in one year. So
Yeah, well, a lot of commercial art assignments take a lot shorter time than a Thomas Kinkade Studios painting.
sure, true. So Tiffany just wants to confirm: is the art behind you all yours?
Yeah, the Jeremiah Johnson, not the Han Solo and Carbonite, obviously,
Okay.
but the native crafted pieces there. That's a fish that's stuffed. Yeah, those pieces. It's hard to show you the whole studio, but
Sure. No
for
problem.
those, if you search my name and you look for websites or you follow me on social media, you'll be able to see that. I have a separate website for fine art and Western, and I have a separate one for pop culture. So if you reach
Great.
out to me, I can always share those with you.
Awesome. So I do want to do like a quick recap of what we've gone over. So today we have released, revealed, and announced Turning Point by Monty Moore. And just want to show you what this really looks like again in your other product formats. This is an art print, and this comes in a protective sleeve. You can also get it with 5 different frame colors that are included. So if you want to get the art print version, you can do that. It also comes available in a gallery wrapped canvas. This is a frameless presentation that is completed on the back like so. We also have it in a metal box art form. This is brand new. So this is a vignette. That's when it's a smaller close-up of the painting.
I really like that one.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a good gift thing too.
Hmm.
And then we also have the Canvas Classic. So this one's a little bit different. It actually has a hardboard canvas instead of stretch canvas, and it also has the nice framing option around it. So in any case, you can see any of his artwork on those 2 links that are pinned in the Facebook chat thread. Again, that is a landing page link to thomaskinkade.com, which has information about Monty Moore and Turning Point. The other one is a link to Art of Entertainment. That's the brand new website that has all entertainment themed artwork with Monty Moore, Thomas Kinkade Studios, and other artists. So it looks like we have one more question coming in from Karen. Do these have certificates of authenticity like other Thomas Kinkade Studios artwork? And yes, they do. They come with Thomas Kinkade Studios certs. I will show you the back like this. I hope you can see that. But yes, it does come with a Thomas Kinkade Studios certificate.
Yeah, one of the things that I was happy to see that you just touched on with the different sizes was that you, as a company, you guys are offering a nice wide range of not only sizes and prices. You can go all the way up to just the stunning fine art reproductions, but also that kind of great gift size. And I've already had some family members reaching out. When it debuted yesterday, my cousin immediately messaged me and he said, "We're a huge fan of the show. I didn't know you were doing this. I've got to get one for Kim.
Yeah.
What size do you recommend? What frame?" And I said, "Wow, you can get all the way down to stocking stuffer size." And I think he's going to go more with the limited edition that you and I both have here as a more of that Christmas present showcase kind of piece.
Awesome. So it looks like we have another question that came in. So Chelsea is asking, outside of The Mandalorian, is there a scene in Star Wars that you'd love to paint?
There's one scene that I've always wanted to do and I've never gotten to. And several years ago when I worked for another licensee, I had pitched them on the concept of let me do this. And it didn't get approved. But for some reason, I have always loved the battle Hoth scene in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And I think because I grew up in Idaho and Colorado as a big skier, I used to race, and I always loved snow. So
Yeah, it's snowing there right now, right?
yeah, it is. I had to shovel the walk yesterday. That I just have always loved that scene. The snow speeders were my all-time favorite design of a ship, and the walkers and just that whole thing. It sticks with me as like a pivotal Star Wars childhood nerd moment. And
Yes.
so someday I would love to paint an all out, my best effort Hoth battle scene.
That's great. Well, we hope that sometime soon you'll be able to have that opportunity. And I think we're pretty much wrapped up on questions. So I do just want to thank everyone so much for joining us remotely, and for Monty for joining us from his studio. It's always very special to get a sneak peek into the life of an artist. It's very fulfilling. I'm sure you've made plenty of fans happy today, and luckily, we'll be able to continue sharing this video with many others. So thank you again. I do want to just take some time out to give some thank you to people who've made this happen. So I do want to thank Kristen Barthelman. She's the one who made this collaboration possible. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yes, she's been great. I want to thank Karen Batista. She's one of the behind the scenes people, and she's also the marketing manager at Thomas Kinkade Studios. And she just really helped with our practice sessions and making sure everything is teed up for today's event. She also has several other Facebook Live events that have been on this Thomas Kinkade Studios Facebook page. So feel free to scroll down and check out some of the other ones that she's done. And then I also want to thank Arwin Theodore. He's actually behind the scenes right now. He's been the one moving the scenes and moving the videos from one scene to the next. And I just want to say thank you to you as well. This has been so great and special to share this moment with you. Very grateful. This was actually my first Facebook Live event, and I'm really happy to interview you. It's been great, and just getting to know you a little bit more is always special. So you can see what's really behind the painting and what's behind the artist. And you seem to have
the painting is behind the artist.
Yeah, the painting's behind the artist, of course.
It's right there.
Right here. But seriously, you seem to have just a great philosophy of creating your art, the technique involved in it. It's all there. It's great. And so it's really awesome when you're able to share that with people, because you know that what's behind the artist and inside the artist is coming out in the right way. And that's so important. So thank you again to everyone. Again, feel free to ask us any questions in that Facebook chat or send us a message later. And then you can go ahead and follow those links to the pages, the landing pages on Thomas Kinkade Studios and Art of Entertainment to read a little bit more about Turning Point. And we really look forward to sharing more art with you. So please stay tuned in the following Mondays. Again, those are Mando Mondays, where we'll be releasing new artwork coming soon. So thank you so much. Monty, any final words?
No, just thank you for letting me be a part of this, inviting
Yeah.
me. A lot of times artists are just kind of the workhorses in the back room.
Yeah.
You finish a project, you move on, thanks, and you're on to the next project. So I feel like I've been invited to participate and contribute to
Yeah.
something special. I love the fact that we all call it a collaboration. It's
Mhm.
not just a hired assignment. And I hope that my passion for Star Wars comes through to the art and that it connects with fans who are just like me.
Yes, absolutely. And it will. I guarantee you it's happening right now. So
Awesome.
thank you so much again. And stay tuned for our next art announcement. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you soon. This
This
is
is
the
the
way.
way.